We begin our service in the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting the chalice. Our chalice lighting this morning, our lighter this morning, will be Leslie Grady. Today we light the chalice with these words from one of my favorite writers and poets, Khalil Gibran, from his poem On Friendship. And a youth said, "Speak to us of friendship." And he answered, saying, "Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field, which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. And he is your board, and he is your fireside. For you come to him with your hunger, and you seek him for peace."
Thank you, Tracy, for those words. They are perfect for this service. And good morning. Whew. I want us to take a breath together because I need one. Because when I was leaving our house, a Beacon's van was blocking the road. And Mary Lou became so worried that she started to come back home for me. Let us take a breath together and think of friends. I wonder, do you remember your first friend? I do. My brother Wes, who preceded me in this world 1.5 years. He arrived 1.5 years before me, and we traveled so much when I was growing up that Wes, all of the pictures I have from my early childhood, many of them are Wes and I going off on an adventure. I wonder who your good friends were. I also want you to know that one of my favorite activities as a minister is to look out and watch you from the pulpit and see the friendships that happen. And I have to admit that I am an incorrigible matchmaker when it comes to friendships. And I keep thinking, who might be a friend with whom? Because I believe that friends are treasure. The people who have brought to me so much happiness and sadness when, damn it, they left the earth, have been other humans, one of whom we met in our first Unitarian Universalist congregation. I am conjuring, as we open, Marge Tyndall, who we loved fiercely and who loved us back. And I hold our friend Meredith, who was with us last Sunday. And we laughed and laughed. We created the good health for you scientists of hormones racing through our bodies, the good ones, and making us resilient and happy. I believe that friendships are needed in order to live a healthy life. May we all be blessed with friends. And may you do as I said at the beginning and conjure yours around you, those who are gone and those who may be far away, and maybe hang on to the arm of the person next to you who is your friend right now. With our friends around us, let us rise in body or spirit and sing together. Come sing a song with me. It's on number 346 in our gray hymnal, if you have a hymnal. Come sing a song Thank you. Thank you. And now let us say our covenant together. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. And now we enter that time in our service when we consider all of the joys and sorrows on our hearts, within our community and within the greater community and within this world. We begin by considering the earth under our feet and the greater community with whom we make contact in many ways through our seeds of support, through standing, with people in times of difficulty, with accompanying people, with opening our food pantry, with listening to what the needs are. And needs are coming in, and Lena is going to give you a view of what we are hearing from the greater community.
This is Jose's story. About a month ago, a Prescott Valley man named Jose called Granite Peak to ask how his family might be included among the beneficiaries of our Christmas gift-giving event. "Are you sitting down?" he went on. "There are 22 of us." "Good news," Reverend Patty said, but I wasn't so sure. 22 was close to the entire number of needy folks Link had served last holiday season. And who was this Jose who spoke such savvy English anyway? And how'd he learn about our Link holiday giveaway? At least he needed vetting. At my request, Jose met me in Davis Hall, his wife Ava driving him, their intellectually disabled daughter Gabriela, who is really anywhere from 1 to 100, Jose explained, and she is a dear in my experience. And their son Luis, aka Pollito, little chicken, age 3. Jose, in his upper 50s, can't drive due to majorly impaired eyesight, nor can he work as a server, as he had for decades in California, where he had moved at age 15 from Michoacan, Mexico, to join his father. Jose is a veteran now on Social Security, and he has slowly brought his extended trickle-down family up to the US from lives of poverty and violence in Mexico. Ava's daughter, Lily, recently went to court for working on her residency card. Others are working toward that same goal. The 22, I learned, are in 3 family households with 2 to 6 children each. I have all their names. The adults, still undocumented, do odd jobs cleaning and landscaping when they can. Jose learned about Granite Peak through a woman who had used our food pantry, and now his family does as well. They eat only beans and rice with tacos, he told me, because meat is too expensive. The kids walk a mile to and from school out in Humboldt, where I used to teach. 18-year-old Raul shepherds the younger ones to elementary and middle schools as they walk before he goes on to high school. Which brings me to Jose's dearest wish, which I had asked, if we could help you with anything right now, what might it be? And he said he'd like to fix up an old car he has, so Raul could drive the younger kids particularly. And he said a good Mexican guy, who is also a Christian, he informed me, would do it for $500, where it would cost like $2,000 at some other kind of station. He told me what it was. It was in Spanish and English, and I didn't understand the part, but he knows what it would take. Jose does not expect Granite Peak to fulfill that wish, but we got someone a bike last year and someone else a trip to Texas, and there was something else major, as I recall. So I'm thinking, sí se puede.
We are known in this community for our generosity, and we have been making friends. And I am grateful to Bronwyn Butterfield, who set this off, and now it is transforming in new ways. We are no longer having a big party. We are using all of that party energy in getting people what they need. And this year, I mean, teachers are contacting me from the Humboldt schools and saying, we know of a family who is in dire need. So I'm not expecting this from just our congregation. I think this is a wonderful time for us to reach out to our neighbors and our friends outside of this community and ask them if they want to join us. How does that sound? Sounds like something you could do? I just thought of our friends, Glenda and George, who live next door, and Lynn, who lives across the street, who all have enormous hearts, as you do. We continue with our joys and sorrows, now expanded to those who are hoping for our generosity during this season. We hold Jack Stanton, who is here among us, but who I found out spent 3 days in the hospital and didn't let me know. So I'm happy you're here, Jack, and I want you to tell me next time. We are happy that he is here. We also especially hold Dixie King, who is with us today, and we send our love and encouragement to the hard work she is doing that is making her more and more well. We hold Vlesta, who is mourning the death of her husband, as many of us are mourning, Randy Phillips. We hold Joyce Dennison, a new member, who is in the last stages of her life in Yarnell. We hold Richard and Karen Rader, who are in the hospital after a bad car accident. They are our newest members. Wilfred and Peg Beaupre, they are their dear friends. And Peggy and Wilfred ask us to extend our prayers and good thoughts to them. We also hold Alan and Phyllis Laughlin and their son Paul. We send our prayers to them. We hold as well Jerry Matiatos and Mariner Cardone's family, who is still in this area and mourning the death of Mariner. And Mary Pomerine wrote this: my brother's surgery, which we held last week, went well. His triple bypass happened on his wife's birthday. Next on his birthday, she'll be in for a possible quadruple bypass. Wow. We will hold her in a year. We also hold, as we near Transgender Day of Remembrance is tomorrow, we will be holding in this sanctuary all those who are suffering because of the prejudice, discrimination, and ill will in this society, in this world, against transgender people. We hold all transgender people among us on this day and each Sunday. I now invite you into a time of meditation where you will have an opportunity. Oh, I have a joy. I want to end with Yvonne is here visiting her mother, Lydia Garrett. Yay, yay. So let us enter into this time of, do we have time? I guess. Do it. We enter into this time of meditation wherein we drop those stones into the bowls, into the water. Let us begin. The Transgender Day of Remembrance tomorrow will be at 6 o'clock. We also hold the happiness of 3 new members who signed the book yesterday, Peggy and Wilfred Beaupre and B. Senna. And now please join me in a spirit of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, in this season of gratitude, we are grateful for being alive, for all the things that support our lives. We are grateful for our friends. We are grateful for the Ponderosas. And we ask for comfort in a hurting world. We ask for blessings on all those who have those deep ties to our hearts, to those who have been in accidents, for those who are suffering the horrors of war. And we hold those too, who continue to wake up in the morning with hope and who spread hope around them, who spread hope in coming to this service and being here among us. In your many names we pray. Amen. And let us sing together, walking, walking with you.
As we prepare to take our offering this morning, let us embrace the feeling of connection that we have when we gather here this week. Let us remember that this community and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. For the month of November, our SOS continues to be Latino Immigration Network Coalition, otherwise known as LINK, which we just heard about earlier. And you can read the full description with an interesting story about Bronwyn's beginnings there on the back of the order of service. To give online, the link is available in the chat, or you can also go to the top of the homepage of the website and click on the red Donate button. Now please enjoy this offertory music played by Salt of the Earth. Thank you, that was beautiful. We acknowledge the generosity of spirit expressed through these offerings. What is given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be. I have to put my glasses on for the reading. This is from chapter 21, The Little Prince Befriends the Fox. It was then that the fox appeared. "Good morning," said the fox. "Good morning," the little prince responded politely, although when he turned around, he saw nothing. "I am right here," the voice said, "under the apple tree." "Who are you?" asked the little prince, and added, "You are very pretty to look at." "I am a fox," said the fox. "Come and play with me," proposed the little prince. "I am so unhappy." "I cannot play with you," the fox said. "I am not tamed." "Ah, please excuse me," said the little prince. But after some thought, he added, "What does that mean, tame?" "You do not live here," said the fox. "What is it that you are looking for?" "I am looking for men," said the little prince. "But what does that mean, tame?" "Men," said the fox. "They have guns and they hunt. It is very disturbing. They also raise chickens. These are their only interests." "Are you looking for chickens?" "No," said the little prince. "I am looking for friends." "What does that mean, tame?" "It is an act too often neglected," said the fox. "It means to establish ties." "To establish ties?"
The transgender service is at 7 p.m., as I thought. Since I'm often wrong with time. Anyway, it is at 7. I want to make sure that you don't come at 6. This week has been wonderful as I have been reading Le Petit Prince of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Somebody was saying how much they could feel I love to say words in French, and it is true. I begin thinking about the year that Antoine de Saint-Exupéry was born. 1900, the same year as my mother's father, which made him too young to enter World War I. But if we think that news is too hard to bear now, think about the years that Antoine de Saint-Exupéry lived. He was born in France, unlike my grandfather, who was born in Wyoming. He was born in France in the epicenter of the buildup and outbreak of World War I, the great war to end all wars, the wars that led to these memorials I saw in every church I entered in France this summer that said, pour nos enfants, for our children. So many children of these small villages all over France died in that war. But Antoine was too young to fight, and his family was aristocratic. Although they were impoverished because his father died when he was 4 years old. So he and his brother, his confidant, his friend, as my brother Wes was my friend, were sent to Switzerland during World War I, and they went to school there. It was there that his young brother contracted rheumatic fever and died. Reading about Saint-Exupéry's life, I could see how his children's book, The Little Prince, contained much of the author's learning about life and death. The return in the end of the Little Prince to the stars reflects Antoine's memories of the death of his brother. He wrote about his brother's death in much the same language. He said that Francois remained motionless for an instant. He did not cry out. He fell as gently as a young tree. Saint-Exupéry became a pilot, an amazing pilot, who crashed many times, just as that pilot in The Little Prince did in the Saharan desert. How many of you know this story? Many of you. If you have not read it, I hope this sermon inspires you to read it this week. His life ended, so he was born in 1900. His life ended in 1944. He died when his plane crashed. It was shot down and crashed into the Mediterranean when it was shot down by German reconnaissance airplanes. And his 44 years of life were packed with adventures, both physical and emotional. Through his writing, he imparts to us his wisdom. He imparts this through the alchemy of creative genius. He takes us with him on a journey into a place of imagination. He begins by asking, as I did in my opening words, to try to remember times when we were children, our friends. He asks us to see the world not as grown-ups, who he does not like very much in The Little Prince, to see not as grown-ups who look at the material, but as children who can see with eyes open to the invisible. I wonder if when you think of childhood, or in your childhood, did you find a place where you could shake off the grown-ups and spend some time with your imagination intact? Find that place for this time together with the little prince. Can you think of a place? When I was 3, I had a little house under an enormous mango tree where I would sit with my brothers. My sister was not yet born, and listen to the iguanas running through that tree. What does that space look like to you? We found other places in all the different countries where we lived. My brothers and I created spaces of refuge from the adult world. We put blankets over tables and pretended that nothing outside that little world was really there. And we wished for something huge, a tree house. Did any of you get to have a tree house? Ooh, oh my gosh. Wow. I hope you tell those stories in our time after this. In fact, one reason why I love living here is our home feels like a tree house. When we walk in, we're in the middle of trees. Our home here feels like a dream come true. What does your refuge look like? Let's just take a moment. What does your refuge look like? Let's sit there together. This service is a good preparation. Finding your refuge is a good preparation because after this service, our faith development children are going to be serving us food, and we don't want to be grown-ups for that. We want to be children who can see with our hearts, because that prepares us to make friends. I wish we could do this before every time in Davis Hall. That fox that Tracy introduced to us articulates this way of friendship making as the need to be tamed. And then he explained that word at the end as creating ties. This is how the fox explains why these ties are needed. And remember, stay in your little place of refuge. This is what the fox says. For me, you're only a little boy, just like 100,000 other little boys, and I have no need of you. And you have no need of me either. For you, I'm only a fox, like 100,000 other foxes. But if you tame me, we'll need each other. You'll be the only boy in the world for me. I'll be the only fox in the world for you. If you tame me, my life will be filled with sunshine. I'll know the sound of footsteps that will be different from all the rest. Other footsteps send me back underground, the hunter's footsteps. Yours will call me out of my burrow like music. And then look, you see the wheat is of no use whatsoever. Wheat fields say nothing to me, which is sad. But you have hair the color of gold, so it will be wonderful once you tame me. The wheat which is golden will remind me of you, and I'll love the sound of the wind in the wheat. The fox fell silent and stared at the little prince for a long time. And then he said, "Please tame me." When the little prince says he just doesn't have time for that amount of taming, the fox says, "The only things you learn are the things you tame." People haven't time to learn anything. They buy things ready-made in stores, but since there are no stores where you can buy friends, people no longer have friends. If you want a friend, tame me. And the fox gives specific instructions about returning at the same time every day. If the prince could come each day at 4, then the fox would begin anticipating the visit and be happy at 3. By 4, he says, I'll be all excited and worried. I'll discover what it costs to be happy. But if you come at any old time, I'll never know when I should prepare my heart. There it is again, preparing one's heart. The prince took the time and he tamed the fox. And there was a cost. The prince could not stay because the prince was on a journey. And when the fox expressed his sadness, the prince said, "It's your own fault. I never wanted to do you any harm, but you insisted that I tame you." "Yes, of course," the fox said. "But you're going to weep," said the little prince. "Yes, of course," said the fox. "Then you get nothing out of it," said the prince. "I get something," the fox said, "because of the color of the wheat." Then he told the little prince to go and look at the roses. And after that, he would tell him a secret. You see, before the little prince met the fox, he'd had a relationship with a rose. There was only one rose on his planet, and that rose was a demanding rose. In fact, they say in biographies of Saint-Exupery that the rose may have been his ex-wife, who was always asking him to do something for him. And he was so fed up that he actually, one of his reasons for leaving the planet and going on a journey was to get away from the rose. But then he went, as the fox asked him to look at a lot of roses, a whole big garden of roses. And looking at all the roses, he began to look for the rose with which he had ties. And he looked at all of them and couldn't find that rose. And not seeing them as special, he had a realization. "You're lovely," he says to them, "but you're empty. One couldn't die for you. My rose, all on her own, is more important than all of you together, since she's the one I watered, since she's the one I put under glass to protect as she asked, since she's the one I sheltered under a screen, since she's the one I listened to and I complained to, or when she boasted, I listened. Or even sometimes when she said nothing at all, she is my rose." And he went back to the fox. "Goodbye," he said to the fox. "Goodbye," said the fox. "And here is my secret. One sees clearly only with the heart. Anything essential anything essential is invisible to the eye. So now I want you to get out of your refuge to another place of imagination. I want you to imagine that experience. And for some of you who are young, you may not know this experience, so you're going to really have to use your imaginations. But an experience of getting off an airplane or a bus or a train and searching a crowd for the person you love. You look and look at the faces, face after face, and finally, there they are. The one or ones that you have tamed, the ones to which you belong. They are standing there among all those strangers. And they are no different, really, than the other ones. But all that you have done for them and with them has made your eyes see what is invisible to the eye, the essential of who they are, their weaknesses, their strengths, and all that makes them dear and annoying, and the hours you have spent with them when they were ill, the time you spent with them in hospital waiting rooms, or you have spent with them in many places you did not particularly want to be and places you did. The time you spent that sometimes felt like time that was wasted has brought that invisible into focus and their faces transformed. I believe that the essential invisible part that we learn to see is also what tinges the world with sadness. We are sad to say goodbye. We are sad when we know the people we love will die. It is awful when our loved ones die. And to be human is to experience this closeness with humans, which at first we jump into when we're children without thinking of loss. But then I think that closeness, I know it happened for me, and it happened more during the pandemic. The closeness became connected with loss. Before we jump in, we stop and think, do I want to be sad when this person moves away or dies? Or what if they hurt us, like a former wife or husband or friend? We know a lot about what becoming close could mean. We become with relationships like I have become with oceans, lakes, and swimming pools. As a child, I used to run into water, jump in, no matter what the temperature. It didn't matter to me. And now I go to the edge and I test the temperature. And I have to admit, often I decide not to go in. Even though I know I have the experience that if I jump in, eventually I'll get accustomed to it. And I'll be glad I took the leap. Not even that wisdom helps me in that moment. I want us to be people who leap into friendship, either with someone new or with someone we've kept at arm's length. Be present. And sometimes these are the people who are closest to us, because we can distance them sometimes just wondering about the loss. I feel that sometimes with our dog Louie, who is getting older. And when I see those signs, he no longer hears us when we call to him. It makes me deeply sad. Love and sadness are all together. And I'm asking you to be like that fox. Listen for instructions from the people you love or the people who are new to you, and give them instructions. The fox is giving us instructions on how to manage that reciprocity of friendship. What do you need in a friend? I have a friend who isn't a hugger, and she must tell people, and she must tell me every time I see her because I want to hug her. She tells me, I'm not a hugger. We have to remember that one size does not fit all. I believe that one of the great learnings we have from disability activists is that strong expression of needs. And many of us have been taught to keep our needs to ourselves. I was taught that. Were any of you taught that? What was the expression Mary Lou's father used to say, or it was of mine? Don't cry or I'll give you something to cry about. Or if you don't like the food, somebody in China is starving, you'd better eat it. Or, I mean, there were innumerable ways we got pushed around as children. And we were taught that our needs would not be welcome. And at this time in my life, and I look back, I think that some of the greatest experiences I have had started with my being able to articulate what I needed. So I'm asking you, what do you need? What do you need? This week among you, I experienced and heard about the reciprocity of this loving friendship. When Fred Fort said to me, my children taught me to be a father. And Rick Denny came to me and said, are you okay? And I said quickly, yes. And then I got home and I thought, I could have given a longer answer. So I'm going to try to be better at that. We need to ask each other these kinds of questions and really answer them. So let us breathe together again. And this time, I want us to look around. You're all facing this way, but I want you to look around. For some reason, these chairs mysteriously always end up in a line, no matter how many times I put them in an arc. So whoever does that out there, the arc was purposeful. I think there's somebody who goes, I think she wants them straight. Anyway, so in this moment, it would be much easier for us to look around at each other, but I would like for you to breathe. Think about that feeling of being in your refuge and look around. Look around and see. You will see some people that you will see that essential in them of many years of friendship making. And in others, I hope you see an invitation to embark on that friendship making. And at times in this community, we are crushingly sad. We are sad when our friends die. We are sad when they are in accidents. Bring that sadness here. And I promise you, When you lose friends, I promise you that there are new chances here that are waiting, ties waiting to be found. When I was studying ballroom dance, which I love, my teacher told me when we were going around the floor, he said, "You are afraid to step on my toes." And of course I was. And then he told me, "Don't be afraid of stepping on my toes. You can't dance if you're afraid of stepping on my toes." So I am asking us in a new metaphor to not be afraid of stepping on toes. Be bold. And when you need to say ouch, say ouch. I think that sometimes we people who think of themselves as liberal put too much importance on the right words. And some of the most open and beautiful people I have known make mistakes with words. They don't know the right words for 2023, but their hearts have much to give. So I am asking us all to be open, to allow people to make mistakes, and then express your needs. Don't give up on people so soon. Be bold like the fox. Ask for what you need. Listen to what is needed and step on toes. I believe that the best dancing and the best friendship we can have, and on December 1st, we are going to dance. And you guys are good at dancing. That the best dancing and friendship is right on the edge of making a spectacular mistake. Amen. And may it be so. And may we make mistakes with each other and forgive. And keep looking for that invisible within each other's hearts. Let us rise in body or spirit and sing, "Let It Be a Dance." It's number 311 in the hymnal. The back row is doing this for those of you who are. lot longer than I thought it was going to be. In closing, I'm giving you one last piece of advice from Saint-Exupery. That is not to be afraid of wasting time. The prince listens to this wisdom. It is the time you have wasted for your rose that makes your rose so important. It is the time you have wasted for your friends that makes your friends so important. Sometimes we must put our to-do lists away in order to grow our relationships inside our homes and outside our homes. The children are waiting to give us some treats, and we have a song to listen to. I invite you to embark on a journey of learning how to see what is invisible in each other, in those children. Let us learn to see with our hearts. Amen, and may it be so. Do we all remember it? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we share in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you. Thank you. And now I want us to remember the story that Lena told. And if that story resonated with you and you would like to sponsor a child or a whole family, let me know after this service. And I just wanted to bring that in again. And Transgender Day of Remembrance is 7. Now, would anyone out there, this is the time to greet our neighbors and for you on Zoom to go into a breakout room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Steve and Joe and John and Karen. Thank you. And it looks like Tony Dennis was here too. So is there anyone who, I think Lydia and Yvonne, that would be a good idea, even though we know you, Yvonne. Not everybody does.